Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be putting out a candle by pouring air on it. And note that I said pouring, not blowing, because we can all just blow a candle out and it's really not that impressive. Alright, so let's go over the supplies. You'll need a candle, you'll need a lighter or some matches to light the candle, you'll need some baking soda, something, maybe a spoon to scoop the baking soda with, you'll need vinegar, and a container to mix the vinegar and baking soda in, and I'm just going to use a thermos. Alright, so let's get into the procedure. So the procedure itself is actually really simple, and before we start, I just want to explain the concepts behind it so you really understand what's going on. There are a couple things you need to keep in mind, and the first of which being that when you mix vinegar and baking soda, it bubbles, right? And those bubbles are actually CO2 molecules being given off by the reaction. Next thing you need to keep in mind is that CO2 is actually more dense than air, which means it sinks, which means it can be poured. Finally, know that a flame needs oxygen to burn, which means that if there's no oxygen, there's no flame. And basically that's it. That's the science behind this trick, is that we're going to pour CO2 into the candle, and that CO2 is going to replace the oxygen there, and therefore putting out the candle. Simple as that. So your first step will be just to grab your candle and light it. And when you're choosing a candle, I'd recommend one like this that's kind of caved in with sides, so that when you pour the CO2, it's sort of captured inside rather than spilling all over the place if you used a big tall candle. So just light your candle. And you can just set that aside for now. Your next step is to get your container and pour vinegar and baking soda in there. Mix it together. There's no really set amount of vinegar or baking soda that you need, but the general rule is that the more the better, because if you have more, that means a larger quantity of CO2 is produced, which increases your chances of putting out the flame. And I really come to the conclusion that pretty much any time this trick fails is just because I didn't use enough vinegar or CO2. I'm sorry, vinegar or baking soda. So go ahead and pour some in there. You can be generous. And then toss in your baking soda. Alright, and finally onto the last and most important part of the trick. I'm going to put the light out so you can see the candle. And all you have to do is literally just tip over the container and pour out the CO2. Boom. It works that fast. As you saw, no liquid or anything came out of the container. It was just CO2 pouring. And if you don't believe me, of course, you can just, try it yourself. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I thought this was a pretty fun little experiment that you can maybe use as a magic trick. I don't know. Be creative. If you liked it, like the video. If you have questions or anything, go ahead and ask in the comments. And feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.